Finish your conversation. Okay. Like to call to order the town board. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee McDowell?
Here.
Trustee Holmes? Here. Trustee Frierson?
Here.
Trustee Fisher?
Here.
Chairman Neal?
Here. Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Bremner, would you lead us? Thank you, sir. Are there any agenda changes this evening? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Clerk, please call the roll. Order in the gallery. No, just kidding.
Trustee McDowell?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Frierson?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Chairman Neal?
Aye. Next item is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on August 15th, 2023 at 6 o'clock p.m. Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion is second, discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee McDowell?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Frierson?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Chairman Neal?
Aye. Item 6, citizens' comments. Yes, sir.
On page 2 of the minutes from last month, the assessor's report about paying the installment of property taxes by e-check online, which I understand. I would respectfully point out, the county also has a program that can be signed up for, where they will go into your bank account or checking account and withdraw the money automatically.
Huh. That's good to know. So they have automatic withdrawal?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Thank you for that information.
It's kind of late now, but
Right, right.
it is there.
Okay. Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? Okay, moving on. Authorized bills for payment. Trustee Fisher.
Yeah, had a brief confab with the supervisor and with the assessor yesterday, and I would ask for approval, a motion to approve, I move to approve the bills in the total of $162,985.36.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee McDowell?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Frierson?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Chairman Neal?
Aye. As a side, I wanted to share with you, we had the Zinnia Monarch Festival the third weekend in August, and we have all of the financials, and I just put it all together on one page, and we ended up, if we were to incorporate, so we had originally held the Zinnia Monarch Festival, what we had dubbed Zion Together Days Weekend. We did not do that this year. We moved the festival to 3 weeks later, and so if we were to incorporate the Zion Together Days funding and the Zinnia funding, we ended up being over budget by $318, which I thought was pretty insanely amazing. Really grateful to all of the sponsors. We had, I have them listed there. It's very tiny in order to fit them in the space, who each of the sponsors were. Mount Olivet Memorial Park really came out for us in a huge way. And we couldn't have done this festival. It wouldn't have been anything without the hotel motel tax grants. So just to say, just if you could pass on to the city council board how much the group appreciated that. So wanted to make sure that you were all aware of what all went into that. So and we're already meeting for next year, so the group is full steam ahead. So okay. Moving on, item 8 is to receive and place on file the audit for the year ending April 30th, 2023. So, yeah, we're pretty much on track for where we thought we would be. All good marks from the auditor.
Is this different than what we have in our
No,
package?
no, yeah. It's not. the 80-page packet you guys had. It's like, holy smokes. And so, okay, do we need a motion to receive and place on file? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to receive and place on file the audit for the year ending April 30th, 2023.
Second.
Motion is second, discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee McDowell?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Ryerson?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Chairman Neal?
Aye. In order, okay, the CEJA grant discussion. So I just wanted to have a conversation with you all about the funds. So no idea when the funds will be coming, right? And I had all along intended that any of the funding that we got that was over what we needed to make our expenses, we were going to be working to help to lower the property taxes. I know that there is a conversation in place for how we want to do that collectively, and so it kind of threw me into a loop because I really truly didn't even intend on anything else except for to lower taxes. But when we look at the amount of money that Zion Township is receiving, talking to Colette, I'm guesstimating that if we were to give back the $244,000 to the homeowners, each homeowner would get $25. And that in of itself doesn't, unless it's collectively with all the other taxing bodies, that nobody will, I mean, the appreciation factor will be negative. So one of the things when I talked to my team about this, Sandra reminded me that we were going to definitely be over budget this year with the general assistance with the amount of need that there has been this year. And one of the things that we had shared in the grant application was that we wanted to specifically help homeowners who are paying the property taxes. And so I'm just kind of curious, like, what your guys' thoughts are around this funding this year moving forward. Yeah.
So you've been in meetings with the other taxing bodies and discussed this grant. So what is the intent of other taxing bodies?
By and large, everybody's on the same page to slowly, the conversation has been, Colette, like, the first year, do you wanna share what?
Well, the first year, they're using the funds for, resources and infrastructure. And then going forward, looking to allocate some funds back to the taxpayers.
Is there any discussion about reducing debt on the taxing bodies? I guess originally I thought that these funds were to be used primarily to reduce the debt burden and abate taxes.
Yes, District 6 specifically, they really need the funding for infrastructure, desperately. Their buildings are crumbling, and they feel negligent if they don't use the funding for that specific. And so there has been a lot of different conversation around it, to try and figure out how we can all work together, because if we don't all incorporate, the impact isn't as great. So, but we have not had a conversation in a while on it, and I think, you know, this is what, supposedly we're supposed to be getting this funding for 22, 23 years. And so I'm looking to one of the experts too, Kathy. And so, and part of right now, we have interim superintendents at the grade school district. And so this year, with not even knowing when the funding will come in, what's gonna be going on with it, what we committed to was coming up with an agreement for the next funding cycle. And hopefully being able to, at some point, be able to just do one grant application instead of everybody having to do separate grant applications. And so, from there, continuing to have these meetings. So, but next year, there will be hopefully a new superintendent at the grade school level that we can begin to have conversations with around, you know, there's three pots that we're all focusing on, right? One is lowering taxes, infrastructure, and services. Bringing services back up to thinks is appropriate, and then fixing buildings and going back.
So if all the taxing bodies followed the original plan of debt reduction and abatement, even though the amount that the township would abate is relatively small, there would be a cumulative effect if that was the approach that every taxing body took.
Absolutely. And that's what we're hoping, you know, Colette, from the beginning, if you wanna speak up to it.
No, that's what we're hoping, you know, it remains to be seen, because everyone, like I said, has their own application, they'll get their own funding, so we can't determine what everyone else is doing, we're just trying to come up with a solution for what we have on our plate right now.
I thought that there was, from the discussions I've had with David Nagle, I thought there was, the group was working towards drafting an intergovernmental agreement on possibly, you know, setting aside a certain percentage of the grant funding specifically for abatement.
Right, yeah, and that, so but that's in the works for next year, not for this year, not for this initial funding.
Okay.
The first payout, we did not think there was enough time to get everybody on the same page to move forward, and we really wanna have everybody together on the same page. So, but we will be, October 25th is our next community dialogue at the high school, and each of the taxing bodies is going to be, they're gonna be showing what each taxing body is planning to do with that funding. And so that's how this whole thing, I was like, okay, all along, right, I had intended, and Colette was very clear, right, on what she wanted this money to go back towards.
Yes.
And so, but if everybody agreed, let's just say to 10%, right, then, you know, do we do more, or do we, you know, use those funding? So one of the thoughts that I had around it was, so right now we've got emergency assistance, that's good for $400, right? And we also have resources through Salvation Army that we can tap into, and Mother's Trust Foundation, depending on the situation. We have disaster relief, right, that is in the town fund, that doesn't fall under the same scrutiny as emergency assistance. And so we've used that. It started, as we were sharing the other day, it started when the city would call me and say they had to clear out a building because there was violation to a code, and so they had to move everybody out, and so they counted on us to put people in hotels. So that's how we created that fund. And so since COVID, we've been using it to be able to help with situations with people that don't qualify for emergency assistance. And so the idea was that whatever funding we have, that we put it into that fund, and then if you're a homeowner and you need emergency assistance, then we set, you know, up to this amount of money, you know, a homeowner we can use to be able to help them with whatever that emergency situation is. My biggest concern was that we have extra funds available for people, and literally my team is like so overtaxed right now, right? I mean, we talked about that, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit, but to like have a new program, I think would be detrimental to my team, and you know, the idea of hiring somebody to, right, that just, to me, that just creates a bigger problem. And so just being able to have another pot of money for homeowners, I think it would go quickly. So, but I just wanted to get your guys' feedback as to other thoughts and ideas. The other thought that I had was, you know, first we make sure that our general assistance is at the 4.5-month surplus, right? Because we've been using it up, and so then after that, having the funds set aside for homeowners, and then as a third option, because if we don't have the money allocated in the budget, right? We know what happens. The attorneys come and say, because it has to be like 1 point something, right, percent of what we have, that we allocate the funds for strategic planning following the whole health community assessment. So that one of the things that I learned from Jimmy Smith, who used to be the CEO of Kids Hope United, was that when Truman Hudson was the township supervisor, they had a partnership where the township and One Hope United provided provided a social worker that worked out of the police department, right? And so, being able to just allocate those funds for, future initiatives that come from the results of the assessment, to be able to do more strategic partnerships. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. When I started thinking about, like, this is gonna be up on the screen at the high school with everybody in the community, I was like, we need to be like really, really clear about like where the funds will go, and I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page with what the funds are around.
And that's gonna be October what?
25th,
Okay.
Wednesday night.
So then I would assume that all of the boards of these bodies have to approve what plan is.
No, so all of the boards at this meeting are just going to submit what they put in that the money's gonna be spent for, with this round. So up on the screen, it will have what each group
Yeah,
is
but
planning on doing.
each of those boards has to approve that expenditure, right?
Yes, yes. Any other thoughts about it, or?
So do you know already how much funding you're gonna get?
I think it's like 244,000, which is a lot of money until you
Yes.
break it down per household, and then
Yes.
it's, right?
And that's where it doesn't look so great.
Yeah.
Which I am all for giving back to our taxpayers. They've been holding us down, and they deserve that. But when you look at it, when you divide it up, and like you said, $25, we don't want them paying $25.
I mean, you're
what
not
It's not as big of an impact, but, so we were trying to brainstorm, and that's why we're having this conversation of, like, what else, how else could we
But the
allocate
goal
this?
is to get that intergovernmental agreement so that we do it as
Cumulative.
Yes.
a group,
Yes, yeah,
that we abate
yeah.
this and so provide relief to the property owners.
Correct.
I don't think we can parse out specifically homeowners,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
across the board.
Right,
right.
that's where it's going.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of the net effect. If you go with the IGA and the school boards in particularly are willing to enter into that IGA, then that's gonna
Mhm.
give you more leverage for everyone else. As far
Right.
as when you do abate back, it will be something that
Because,
has the potential to be meaningful on an actual tax bill.
right, because
and so-
they're the biggest part of the tax
Right.
bill, period.
So with them, if they're not in the vote, I'm not sure how that's gonna play out and how everyone else then is gonna want to, participate in that abatement, because again, we're gonna be back in that situation where now I'm gonna give up everything for little effect on the back end.
Right.
So I think those are unanswered questions as far as any conversations
The
that I've
level
had
of-
up until this
level of
point, as
participation.
far as who's in the vote and who's not.
Well, the high school has been very supportive, just to say out loud, of being on.
Well, I mean, I haven't been in the room for those, so I'm not sure 100% of who all's in and who's not. So until we get that final, I mean, I like your line of thinking in terms of how do we give back to the larger, population in some meaningful way and aggregate that. I like the idea of kind of consulting services, so that has a broad reaching impact without adding on to, staff, insurance and things like that. If we can consult out for those services,
Wait. Go consult out for what service?
like for a social worker. If
Oh,
they're
gotcha, so
hired
after
and then working
yeah,
through.
right. Well, and in my mind, like, not even making any judgments, letting the study be the study, and then whatever the results are from the study, having funding to be able to seed some of the initiatives that come from it, so that we're not leading the witness.
Yeah, and I mean, to that point, I'm a bit stuck now in terms of being able to say exactly what that money should go towards,
Right.
because those results aren't in.
Yeah,
I can say from what we've been hearing thus far, there's a lot of unmet needs in terms of other services. So I think at some point we may have to go back and have that harder discussion about, services that are still, needed for a large portion of the population.
well, that's why I just want to, have the money be, any extra funding that, be allocated towards seed money for whatever the results of this study are, right? Not put it towards anything in particular, but I think so long as we have it allocated, that's all that matters.
And there's got, I think I'm seeing it, the same way, a gap assessment, in terms of all of the governing bodies, you know, whether that intergovernmental agreement is 1 year or however, whatever the term is. Sitting down at the table, because, you know, sure, the school districts may need infrastructure, needs, but, you know, what about, you know, school, children needing tutoring or what have you?
And that's exactly there, so, right, they're saying infrastructure, services,
Mhm.
and taxes, right? That there's 3 buckets that they need to address, and so at this point, right, we're still in that conversation.
If there's a way to demonstrate that those kind of expenditures would ultimately serve to lower taxes because we're using this money instead of levying money to do that, then I would be in favor of it. But I think we'd have to be able to demonstrate that.
I mean, and I also think how you define, you know, giving back or receiving that benefit doesn't have to be financial, doesn't have to be.
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate the conversation, so, it helps me to like know what I need to have on the township's slide. It's like, how do we do
I
this?
mean, ultimately, we want the taxpayers to be the winners. in
100%.
this.
Absolutely.
Yes, because if we can do that, then homeownership continues to go up, right, which benefits every single agency in this community. And so, and every resident that gets to be a homeowner, right, so. Awesome, thank you. All right, moving forward, assessors report.
Good evening. So our appeal filings were closed on yesterday, September 18th. And we have a total of
Yay.
269 appeals for 2022.
How does that compare to the rest of the county? That's,
Yeah, we're low.
yeah,
But I mean,
wow.
everybody's lower than what we anticipated. Everybody was, you know, kind of cringing and just waiting. And as the numbers have been coming in, you know, bigger townships like Waukegan and places like that, theirs are way lower than what they had anticipated. So, for me, I feel like that lets us know that, you know, our values are supporting when you go in there to look and see. You know, you're always gonna have some people that are gonna file, and there's always room for some type of error and gaps and things like that. So, we're happy with the numbers, and then even in looking at the appeals now as we're working through them before the hearings begin, we are able to work with some of the taxpayers, where we see fit. And with others, we just, you know, put our information in to let the Board of Review make their decisions. So, our hearings start on the 3rd of October. We've already scheduled, I think, over half of our residential hearings. We have some on the 3rd and on the 5th, so far. And, you know, they'll continue to schedule them, the rest of them. And commercial is usually last, so that'll probably be late October, first part of November, somewhere along in there. And we're still, oh, well, never mind. I put that we were still completing them out, because at that time we were still completing out the appeals. All of the in-person hearings and phone hearings are gonna be held from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and the letter hearings in the afternoon. They started that, I wanna say since I've been here, because it seems to work out, the in-person hearings and the phone hearings. In-person can actually, you can go down to the county and the courthouse like they used to do back in the day and actually be in person for your hearing, or you can still do it via Zoom. They give you the option. Or you can do, you know, the phone hearings. And so that gives the Board of Review and us a break. You can do, you know, those in the morning, then you still have your afternoon to get ready for whatever other ones you have to do in person the next day. So that, you know, that is the schedule. And, oh, so that's it for hearings and appeals. September 27th is National Assessors Day.
Oh,
So
what
be
is
extra nice to us on
September
the
27th? There's a National Assessors Day?
Yes. Be extra nice to us on that day, please.
Wow. And what does that look like to you, being extra nice? Just curious. You can
just
list
smile
out,
and
list
good
out.
conversation.
What's your love language?
Oh, man. In the community, we attended the annual Labor Day Parade, which was, a huge success after the hiatus. And we participated in the Back to School B-Batch at Township High School. We were able to educate both students and parents on property assessments. And the Zion Leaders Group, as we already said, will have their quarterly meeting on the 25th at the high school. And we ask you to bring your neighbors, and we're looking forward to seeing you there. Any questions?
What time is that, on the 25th?
It is 6:00.
Yeah, six
Six
till eight, but food
yeah.
will be from 5:30 until 6. You'll be
Yeah,
getting a
okay.
postcard in the mail.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments, concerns, kudos? Just, I know you guys are like right in the middle of it, but thank
Yeah.
you for how hard you guys are working to like, what I appreciate is like, I know that you're trying everything, you're doing your best to make sure that it's equitable and fair for everybody and sticking with the letter of what needs to happen, and I know that's a lot of work.
It's a lot, but, we're trying to get things, like I said, even keeled and fair across the board. And it's a quadrennial year, so it's a big shift on top of that, just because of the resets on the reductions that people have gotten for the last 4 years and things like that, and then the values. So if they come back and they don't see it, as they may have seen it in the past, it's because of the market.
Mhm.
The last 3 years, the sales have been up, so we have to make sure that we value them at a third of the market value. And that's been a big change. That's why I've been so adamant about, we really have to make sure that we're, looking out for our taxpayers.
Mhm.
Because this is a big shift. And, so we're just, trying to do our best to make sure that, everything that we have is accurate. And if it's not, we're gonna stand by that and we're gonna fix it.
Yeah.
We're not gonna hold you to the fire on our mistake. We'll definitely fix it and make it right.
Yeah, I was a little taken back when I saw the increase in my value, but then I saw a couple of my neighbors and I decided to keep my mouth shut. Because granted, their houses are way bigger than mine, right, and they actually have 2 bathrooms, but.
Right.
So, awesome, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is supervisor's report. Just a few things. The Zion Quarterly will be going out October 1st. If you have any events you want to share, please email Sandra at zbquarterly@gmail.com. Again, we're working in partnership with the Coalition for Healthy Communities on the community-wide whole health wellness study. Trustee Parson, you want to share where we are with that?
Yep, so we are live with the survey. We're actually set up to be at the library for their grand reopening. We're gonna have a few laptops, I think about 8 set up for people to be able to take the survey on the spot. We also have ways for you to fill out a SurveyMonkey link and have someone contact you afterwards to set up an interview, and they can come out to your home or meet you somewhere and actually walk you through it and do it live in person. We do have a target of hitting 300 to be statistically relevant for this survey. So that's a bit of a tight number, so it will be a combination of, in person, walking through the interview, but then some folks will actually be using the link to take it themselves. Our primary researcher has, based on his experience with quote-unquote underserved communities, the team did make the decision to pay per household for people that take the survey, so we're equating that to $20 an hour. And all it takes, the survey should be somewhere between 30 to 45 minutes. And that's because some of the questions are asking for opinions or text to be typed in, and that's where the extra time will come from. But we do believe and value people's times and want to pay people for their time, but we're also eager to hear folks' feedback. So that's where we're at. Our target is to be done by the end of October. We may spill over a little bit into November, but we're going to do our best to get to that number by the end of October.
Okay. Can you, I'll talk to the leadership team about having a slide up at the community conversation for people to be able to get that QR code.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, the Queen Bees of Zion Red Hat Society is in full swing. I gotta be honest, when Noma left us and went down to Georgia, I really wanted to pull the plug on it, but I am so glad I didn't. Any of you guys that saw us at the parade, the Queen Bees, they had so much fun. The retired Linda Norman, the cheerleading coach from the high school, came and taught them a dance routine, and they did it. Now all of them want to learn it. We just went to 10 of them went to Sheboygan Friday night for the night, and just the group is really getting excited and wanting to do a lot of things. So glad that we kept that baby going. Anybody that wants to join the group, please call Zion Township and we'll get you an application form. Next, the Coalition for Health Communities Corporate Community Spelling Bee is fast approaching on November 2nd. Zion Township will be sponsoring the Queen Bees, but we are looking for lots more sponsors. And if you want more information, please, don't Colette, myself, Richard, to get more information, because we'd love to have you, everybody involved. It is so much fun just to come out and see the spellers. It's at the Point Church. Colette, what else do you want to say about it?
We're always looking for volunteers, and any donations that you would like to provide. We're looking for organizations who would like to donate refreshments as well. So if anyone knows any place that would be willing to donate some refreshments for the attendees, let us know. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Cool. Thank you. Next, all of the staff completed the peer support specialist online training through Northern Illinois University. We've got Rex Jones coming to conduct the sexual harassment training on November 1st. And we are, it is still on the books to have a conversation with the police chief to see what kind of training they're doing for my staff, so thank you for that. Okay, so here's a fun one. With North Point Resources combining with Aspire and moving out of Zion, we needed a new partner to create our senior birthday cards. And so Zion Benton Township High School's transition special needs class has taken on that role. Students are visiting Zion Township, creating the cards and stuffing them on a monthly basis. So it's a perfect partnership. We had our first session last month, and they will be coming Thursday to complete them for the October. So that's fun. And then the Zion Benton Leadership Academy will be hosting a roundtable leaders discussion. You have the flyer here. All of you, Colette, do you want to say more about this? It's on the back of the DMV.
Oh,
There you go.
oh yes, networking with like-minded people. We have leaders coming from the private sector, the nonprofit sector, government positions, and they'll be coming to speak to the participants in the CBLA program, but also it's open to the public. And we can see the focus points that they will be discussing, which is networking with like-minded people, getting ideas on how to start a business or an organization, learning the art of dealing with red tape, connecting with resources and navigating communication, basically giving them a lot more information as up and coming leaders, with helping them to be able to bring their ideas to fruition. But we know that there are a lot of residents or others that would be interested in this topic, so we ask you to share it with any and everyone you know. It's open to the public, as I said, at the Zion Benton Library. It's from 7 to 8:45 p.m. on, next Monday, October the, no, not next Monday, October the 16th, on Monday, October the 16th, excuse me. And there's a QR code, they can, scan it or type in the link and register so that we can have an idea of how many people will be attending. And, we look forward to seeing you there, if you can come out.
Next item, Zion Township is collecting names of families who are in need for the Christmas holiday. Please have them call Zion Township to sign up. The Zinnia Monarch Festival was by all accounts a huge success, just thanks to everybody that contributed. Like I said earlier, the committee is already working on ways to improve it for next year, so it was a lot of work, but it was a really, really good showing. Got some really good feedback too from the community, so that was good. And then on the back of that sheet, just to let you know, on October 17th, the Illinois Secretary of State Mobile Driver Services Facility will be visiting the CB Library. They are going to be doing the Real ID appointments, if you have not gotten your Real ID yet, so you can call the township and schedule that appointment. And you do not need to live in Zion in order to schedule an appointment.
There you go.
And so, a couple other things. So, we are going to be closed on October 9th for what was Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day, November 10th for Veterans Day, and then on November 11th and 12th, I've got half of my staff that are going to the Township Officials Conference. It's the first time they've actually gone. And then I have one staff that's taking off and one staff that wants to work. So what we're gonna have her do is we're gonna close the office, but she'll answer the phones from home. So she'll just work from home and answer phones that day. And then I am actually taking off to go on vacation next Tuesday through October 11th. And so long as I make it across the Grand Canyon on October 1st, hopefully I'll be back and everything will be good. And so then the last thing I wanted to share, so at the last board meeting, we had talked about the discussion on the number of calls. And Trustee Fisher, you had actually asked if there was an opportunity to do an evaluation of the intake process to see what we could do. And so I brought that back to my team, and what we ended up doing was, instead of, what we had was we had a call list, and we had the 3 case managers, and they were each calling and trying to get the paperwork from people. And what Adriana did was she is making all of the callbacks, and she is getting the information, and she's getting the information from people. And as she gets a full file, then she's giving it to the case managers to process, instead of each case manager having 6 half-done files on their desk being frustrated because they can't process things through. And so she's continuing in that work. She's also tracking number of individuals that we are not able to help and why, and then the number of people that just refuse to go through the process. And so they self-select not to get those services. So hopefully we'll have some good information. The other thing that we were looking at is starting to just get some demographic information of who we're serving. And so looking at how we can put that together, as well as being able to put it on a map, right? So like, where is everybody coming from that we're able to serve? And so we're looking forward to that next year. It was actually an extension of what you had sent me. I was like, wow, how else can we, right? And so being able to see that. So. Anything else? Okay. All right, so that being said, we will move on to the decennial committee business. Call to order the decennial meeting. And just to, so I gave everybody a sheet with the 3 questions again. Where we are at in the conversation is, what have we done well? What inefficiencies did we identify? What are our next steps? And what can we do better and more efficiently? And so I had incorporated all of the different items from the last meeting that people shared. And then appreciate Laura Murray sending her suggestions, and I just put that on the back of the sheet so that we could go through those. Laura, do you want to go ahead and share? Do you want to go ahead and share your list?
Not really.
No. Was Rose able to get you any information?
She's never contacted me.
Okay.
She emailed.
She's gonna.
Oh, did she email?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was going to,
Rose had a class that she couldn't get out of,
Yep.
and she emailed her thoughts.
awesome. Do you want to share those? Right.
No, I think, you know, everything I put down are all things we've already discussed. Other than, the one thing, and I don't know, I mean, if you could just do it with a sheet of paper or what, but we get quite a few people coming to church asking for help, and the first thing we say is go to the township. And their reply is always, I've been to the township, they said they can't help me. So if people just know ahead of time what you're able to do and what you're able not to do.
Right, well, so what we actually did, in order to alleviate that situation, is we have the referral form on our website. So what you can say to those individuals is, you know what, we would love to help you, but before we do, we need to understand what the township is able to do. So we're gonna give you this referral form for you to take over to them. And so what that allows us to do is actually tell you what the truth was. The reason that we created that form was because we had a resident that people told him that regularly. And when he called them to task, what the truth was that they never came to the township, and they just said that so that they could get, because it's a process with getting help from the township. We don't just give out cash, and a lot of churches kind of do, right? And so my plea would be that you guys, we've got the 3 carbon copy forms at the township, or you can just print one off online, to be able to hold them to task, right? We can't help you today, but if you'll fill out this form and go to the township on Monday, we might be able to help you on Wednesday, right? And what they're gonna tell you, right, is all kinds of other stories, but if you're able to hold to that, or, okay, we can help you this time, but moving forward, right, what we need for you to do is we're gonna follow this process, right? So the first time out, different opportunities, because, so the police department asked for the same thing, and when we went and we shared with them everything that we do, and Adrian and I came to the church and shared, literally every situation is different, and so you listen to the circumstance of it, and like knowing all the different programs and services and everything that are going on, it's all moving parts, so there's not really, we were like, how can we do like a it's like a spider web, right? And really, it's more just of holding people accountable, and then we will actually write on the form if we were able to help, why we weren't able to help, get it back to you, and then we would actually call you and say, you know what, in this situation, we actually can't help, would you be willing? And we've done that several times with Christ Community Church when they've sent people over. It's been a really good partnership with doing that. Does that help or make sense?
Yeah, we just need to get the forms and.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is, right, it's a habit, right? It's like building a muscle to remember to do that. And when people are in need, they catch us off guard, and especially as Christians, right, we believe we're supposed to help, even though we don't realize oftentimes that by helping we're hurting them, because, you know, we had the couple that was at McDonald's forever, right? And one of the local pastors came up to me at the coffee shop and he was like, Sherry, I did my part. I went and bought him socks and a blanket. I was like, so you're part of the problem. What do you mean part of the problem? I was like, I keep going over there and like begging them to come over and let us help them like to address the situation, but why on God's green earth would they? When like they're getting gift cards and food and, you know, all kinds of stuff to help them stay comfortable on the street. You know, so the goal is to actually help people get the resources to get on their feet. So one of the other things that you brought up, Laura, was a 24-hour hotline, way to contact Township after hours, right? That's why I'm such in support of 211. 211, they refer people back to us, and they also refer them to other agencies that might be able to help. So in essence, we do have a 24-hour hotline through 211.
Okay.
So then one of the other items you brought up was having evening hours once a week or once a month. And at one point, what we had actually done was we went to a 4-day work week and worked from 8 until 6 or something so that we could be open later for residents. And it was crickets in the evening. And we marketed it and promoted it, and it tends to be, you know, if somebody needs services and they can't get to us at 4:30, we work online, we work, you know, in a number of different ways to be able to help them. People don't actually have to have an appointment and come in to be able to get assistance. We can work with them outside of that. We have DocuSign so they can sign forms and do everything that way. So, yeah, but I appreciated you bringing that. At first I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. And Sandra's like, can we revisit when we did that? I was like, sure. And so we went back to it, and she was like, and then they started pointing out all the different things that we are doing. I was like, okay, all right, thank you for that, so. And then find a different way to communicate with seniors that have no computers, smartphones, texting ability. One of the things that we're the proudest of is our senior resource guide, and making sure that they have all of the contact information for different agencies with that, and the Zion Quarterly. I mean, the bottom line reason that we have a paper copy that we send out and the postcard for the Zion Leaders Meeting is to make sure that seniors have access to that. And so, but if you have any other thoughts or ideas, we would love to hear them.
So what about people move to town? Do you ever get a list of people that have moved in that might be in the over 65 or whatever the requirement is for seniors?
We don't actually get a list, but word of mouth is really big in this town, and especially because they know they get this birthday card, right? It's amazing how many of them call and say, how do I get on the township's listing to be able to do that? But yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, please.
There's also some initiative recently with the city, for welcoming packets.
Not recently.
But-
Over and over and
Yeah.
over. We have visited that conversation so many times, and I think it's back on a shelf as far as I know. But yeah, I know that Sonolito worked really hard to put something together, and then there was a lot of pushback on some of the different pieces that were in there. And then plus the printing of it and all the different things, so we keep going in circles around that concept, and it would be great to have a champion that could act, kind of like the Zion Quarterly. It took 12 years and 3 tries for that, right? 12 years, and so I think a welcome packet, it's kind of the same conversation about how do we do it effectively. And so, if we have a champion that's willing to run with it until it crosses the finish line, it just might happen. And so I appreciate, Laura, what we have done well, considerate, respectful, kind treatment of our clients, programs for seniors, programs with the Zinnia and Monarch Festival, the murals, interconnections with other charitable groups, the quarterly magazine, and providing a list of other resources and what they do. Yeah, I appreciate it.
That I didn't know that sounded too big, but I know our church has a list
Yep.
they got
Yep.
from you of all the organizations that we can refer people to.
Yeah, we actually have emergency resources list, and it's like, I don't know, 7 or 8 pages. We have that in Spanish. We have one for residents with disabilities and for veterans. So separate list for that. So, and we keep it up to date. We've been doing that for a long time, and we always keep that up to date. A lot of agencies actually use those and make copies and print those out. So is there anything else aside from this list that anybody would like to add to what we have done well, inefficiencies we identified our next steps, and what we could do better and more efficiently?
Is there a radio station that we could possibly, the cost, right, to send out what the township does?
So interesting
Like a
that you say
blast.
that. With the Zinnia Monarch Festival, right, we did go to the radio station. And Jose on the Lake County's Latino radio station, Adriana Ortiz went and was interviewed, and he asked her to please come back and start sharing with him more things that are going on and more things that townships do. So I will follow up with that and add that to the list.
Now,
Yes, sir.
there's an FM station in Kenosha, and I believe there's a station in Waukegan,
Mm-hmm.
not positive.
Yep, yeah, 95.1 and 102.3. So yeah, I was actually on both of those as well. So I just put on here radio programs so that we can investigate that a little bit more. Awesome. Anything else? Anybody? Oh, you were going to share anything Laura said? You ready to open it?
We already talked about all of these. So let's see, what have we done well? Inefficiencies, communication of township services and events, direct mailings, we talked about that. Communication of township government. Monthly board meeting agendas are not posted on the township website,
Ooh.
neither are the meeting minutes.
Okay.
Additionally, the last videos of township board meetings were posted in 2021. The township needs to comply with OMA and provide governance transparency to the residents.
Awesome.
what can be done more efficiently, expand Senior Resource Day participants to include SNAP and low-income internet information sign-up tables, so as to enable lower-income seniors of eligible services. Additionally, since many seniors still have landlines, have city table on hand so seniors can register their home phones on the Blackboard platform and thereby be informed of impact area notices. Work with the Zion Park District to revive shopping transportation to Aldi and Walmart for residents of Zion Senior Cottages, as this service was canceled in 2020 due to COVID-19. That's news to me. I thought that was
That's news to me
still-
too.
I thought that program was still in effect.
Me too.
But if it isn't, it definitely should be. That was a much-needed program.
Yes, absolutely.
Build on the success of Senior Resource Day and host a bilingual Family Resource Day so as to advise residents of program services that may be available to them: Head Start, SNAP, WIC, low-income internet, ESL classes, adult literacy, etc., as well as share information regarding the township's other functions and services. Additionally, we have vets in our community who could benefit from local services or organizations but are unaware of them. How can this information be disseminated to them?
Wow, awesome. That's all great information. I'll add that to your report. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, yes. Well, that will just get emailed to you. Same thing with Laura's report. So, yeah. Yeah.
I remember, I don't even know how many years ago, there used to be like a community bulletin board where people could go on and know the things that were going on on television. And you could see the city council meeting, the video of city council and stuff. Is that not available in the,
It's the local access channel.
That's a great question. That's a great,
Because
do you
I
know
know
anything,
a lot
Cheryl?
of people- I've heard a lot of people mention that they're upset they can't see the city council meetings anymore, you know, that used to, and we used to be able to go on and put about events that were gonna happen and stuff, and it was a great way for people to know what was going on.
I'll make it a point to find out about that and bring it back to the next meeting. Right, yeah, so. And the community bulletin board, you called it?
Yeah, I think that's what they called it. But it was like a public, like a certain channel on.
Yep,
They used
yeah,
to have
yep.
the office in a little strip mall in Jersey.
You are showing your age. I actually worked there helping with the videos when I videotaped for the city council meetings. That was a long time ago. Yeah, early 1990s. Okay, so thank you. Right. So is there, you ready? So are there any other ideas, suggestions? So, hey, we will continue the conversation. I will, plug this information into the report, and we'll continue on, and I will let you know what the next steps are for, completing the decennial report. So, thank you. I appreciate everybody's efforts to take this seriously and try and capture as much as we can.
I did miss a few announcements
Oh, okay, well, we're there.
if we're at that point.
We are at that point.
All right. So just a couple of short lists I have here. So this Friday, we're doing our last showing for the Movie in the Park series for this year.
That's the last one?
We're on schedule for 4.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's been going very well. So thank for everyone that's been showing up. We even got some teenagers that just decided to flow through last weekend. So again, just nice, clean, family fun, free popcorn. We try and give hot chocolate when the days are a little bit cold. Yeah, so
Wait.
that's been going well.
And just to give a little bit of kudos, this guy worked his tail off to make it a reality, and really grateful, because I cannot believe how many people came out for the movies. It was just so fun. It was the atmosphere that we've been wanting to create for a very long time. And
Yep.
so, yeah, so thank you. And we cannot miss thanking CCC and Ed Spoor for your guys' support and participation. And I was told not to say how you did, but just to say thank you. The projector.
That's correct. So the American Legion, CCC,
Yeah.
Zion Benton Township High School is a big sponsor this year. They supported us last year as well, and then also thank you to the Park District. So like I said, it's really been a group effort.
Huge.
This is our 3rd year. Part of the spirit behind that is creating things that are consistent, that we can continue to scale up, that people can look forward to at certain times of the year. So So we're happy about the turnout this year.
Very cool.
On September 30th, the American Legion, they're hosting a memorial service for 3 veterans that did not get recognized during their time of service. So that is actually going to be Saturday, September 30th at 10:30, and this is going to be Mount Rest Cemetery in Wadsworth.
Oh.
So if you're available, again, there's 3 veterans that are being recognized: Hewitt P. Shelby, John Marco, and I'm sorry, Shelby was from World War II. John Marco, also World War II, and then Delbert Dameron from the Korean War.
Awesome.
On October 21st, the NAACP is hosting their annual gala, and that is going to be held at, let me find it. That's going to be held at the Westin North Shore Hotel in Wheeling. I have a contact phone number if you'd like to purchase tickets. That number is 847-445-9438. And then also, the spelling bee was mentioned. We also have our annual coat drive coming up. We do that in partnership with the Rotary, and then especially grandparents and kin raising children of Lake County. So there will be boxes throughout the city, at the Township, City Hall, the fire department, and police department, if you'd like to contribute to that and drop off hats, gloves, scarves. That's our take on it from the coalition standpoint, and then Rotary and grandparents and kin, they provide the coats. So we partner with that, and yeah, I think that's
Cool.
my last thing.
And one thing that I forgot to mention, so we're in conversation with Carthage College to actually potentially bring in an intern to help us organize and promote the events for 2024, so that more people can know about them collectively instead of each person individually. And then we'll be talking to them about the spring class of the communications department actually doing a rebranding project for rebranding Zion. So it's nothing, we have no commitment to it, we don't have to do any of it, they will just use us, and part of the commitment is we have 3 meetings with them for them to understand what we're looking for, and so we're gonna be talking to the leaders collectively to see if we can get everybody on board with that moving forward. So we'll see, lots of fun stuff. Awesome, is there anything else to come before the board? Yeah,
I can add a couple of events.
go really quick because the city council meeting starts in 3 minutes.
This Saturday is food pantry
Oh.
at New Tech,
Okay,
okay, at 10 a.m. in the morning. October 25th, I think.
26th is the Oktoberfest?
26th
Yep.
is October.
Yep,